All right, so we're going to tackle some questions about the things that we get asked quite often. And the one here for today is going to be a very common one. And it's interesting, it's thought-provoking, I suppose. Would we ever not return to an investigation location? Was there some place that was so scary that we were so frightened that we would not go back? And I really feel like of all the places I've investigated, specifically with the shows, there's been nothing like that. I mean, the Lep Castle episode that we did in Ireland, that was probably the most significant for me, where something actually lifted me up and dropped me to the ground. But in 30 years of investigating, this happened at one time. I went back in that night. There was nothing that bothered me that night. I went back a second night and investigated. It was perfectly pleasant. I think it was just kind of putting me in my place about my investigation techniques that I used at the time. But in other investigations, I have gone to the Valeska Axe Murder House. And this isn't a comment about the place itself or the people that run it. They're wonderful. But when I was there, it made me realize, listening to how people were investigating, the questions they were asking, the way they were acting, and it could have just been the group I was with, but there's a thin line between doing a proper investigation, being intrigued about who might be there from the afterlife, and glorifying some horrific murder or something that happened. And I really don't like that. I find it very distasteful when we're so caught up in something as tragic as a murder and something like that. And so for me, that's a no-go. I don't think I need to go back there. Nothing happened to me paranormally when I was there. It was very, very quiet. It was a wonderful time, really good people. But as far as the investigation, it was really dark, a lot of doom and gloom, and people just so focused on the negative, so focused on the murder, so focused on death, and not on the existence of the afterlife and the persistence of the soul. Yeah, Valeska Axe Murder House, just not for me.
I've never had an experience like Dustin described, where he's picked up and dropped. Honestly, I have no idea how I would respond to something like that, but I have had some weird things happen. I've experienced 2 shadow figures. I've experienced a disembodied voice. It sounded like there was a guy standing right next to my ear and talking directly into it. It was wild. I've heard footsteps. I've had things around me move. Didn't see it with my eyes, but it was captured on camera. When those things did happen, I can't say that I was scared. I would describe it more as startled or thrown off guard. It's almost like your brain does a double take. Then you start to doubt yourself and you become curious as to what the hell just happened. And you start working your way through all the possibilities of being able to explain it rationally. Once I've worked my way through all of those possibilities, I either walk away having debunked it, or I walk away with more questions, or I'm friggin' psyched because I can't explain it, and I put it down as a possible paranormal experience. I've never been so scared that I wouldn't or couldn't go back to a location. There's not one place I can think of that I would refuse to go back to. In fact, the places that I have had weird things happen at, I want to go back. I want to see if it'll happen again. When it comes to scares, the things that do scare me are real world things, if that makes sense. So think open elevator shafts that I might fall down, or stairwells that have no stairs in them. We've run into that quite a bit. Maybe there are weak floors that we have to worry about going through. Maybe there are ceilings that are caving in. Maybe we'll run into a wild animal that shouldn't be in the building that might bite us. The other thing that's scary and does happen occasionally is you might run into a squatter and you have no idea how that situation is going to go down once you run into each other. Those are the things that scare me. On the paranormal side of the house, I've never had anything happen that left me so terrified I'd refuse to go back. The unfortunate part is the paranormal today has become very clickbaity. Words like demon or demonic or portal or possession are thrown around willy-nilly, and they are not the norm, even though people are trying to make you think otherwise. All of that makes for great entertainment, don't get me wrong, but it's not the norm for paranormal investigation. As for this new little series, Dustin and I are putting together a playlist of commonly asked questions. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer, throw it in the comments below, and if it is one that we get a lot, we're going to tackle it as soon as we possibly can. We hope you guys have a great day, and we look forward to tackling another commonly asked question very soon.